Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Firstly, I would like to apologize, barakallahu fikum, for being late. And I know I said today that I was going to start this live at, I believe it was 10 to 10:30, but something came up, bi-ithni Allahu subhanahu wa ta'ala. So alhamdulillah, I just like to ask the people to forgive me on being late, because it's not befitting for an instructor to be late, inshallah ta'ala. So I ask you to forgive me so Allah ta'ala can forgive me, barakallahu fikum. Okay, we're going to continue from yesterday, where is that we did some discussion of what is self-protection and what is required of one who learns and so forth like this, and what is certain rulings on one protecting oneself according to the Kitab and the Sunnah. And we talked about some hadith, we talked about some ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, specifically Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 190. So inshallah ta'ala, and we gave some kalam about aqidah for a person or one who must have the aqidah straight, the conditions first, in order for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to aid us in our endeavors. So if we want protection, the greatest protection is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also explained that no matter how much skill one have, one must always return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for victory and for strength. Because Allah ta'ala is kulli shay'in qadir. So we just want to make sure that we have that clear, so that it will be no misunderstandings on our purpose for giving these type of instructions. Barakallahu fikum. So we're going to continue today, barakallahu fikum, with understanding the permissibility of use of force. Now, what is the permissibility of the use of force against your attacker? So basically, we want to get into why and when you can defend yourself, and how much force one can use in order to defend oneself against an assailant or one who is aggressive, so forth like this, or an attacker. So we know that, alhamdulillah, that there are rules and regulations that we have to abide by. So we want to make sure that we get that very clear, that we understand that first, we understand that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we must be obedient, that we must try to adhere to the Kitab and the Sunnah to the best of our ability, and that if we fall short of the mark of that, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our lack of knowledge or lack of discipline. Barakallahu fikum. So, alhamdulillah, and we know that also living in the land that majority of us reside in, those who over here maybe in America or United Kingdom or somewhere like this here, the laws are very different or similar to the same as that. But this law right here, the use of force, applies in general, and it's an international law that one must obey. Now, so in any court, in any system, there's a ruling called the use of force, that how much force one can use in defending oneself from harm. Okay, so we're going to get into the permissibility of use of force against your attacker without transgressing the bounds of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or transgressing the bounds of the law in the state or the area which you live in. Now, so what I'm teaching here is basically how to stay safe. Okay, how to protect yourself, not only physically, but also economically, because verily that if you do something that is not correct, you're going to find yourself needing lawyers, and you're going to find yourself needing certain paperwork and so forth like this here, certain payments, which that you're going to have to pay to be removed or released from incarceration. So we just want to make sure that the people understand like what is the rules and regulations and the guidelines of using self-defense according to the law. So it's very important that, you know, people got to understand that we can't do what we want to do out here. We can't do what we want to do out here, and we have to obey the law by all means possible when dealing with protecting ourselves, our families, and our properties, or either someone else that may be in harm's way. So we want to make sure that we always in the understanding of the guidelines of first the Kitab and the Sunnah, and then that, you know, alhamdulillah, that you want to obey the law of the land. Now, that whatever land you are in, that you obey the law, because the Messenger of Allah said that you must also obey those in authority over you. So that means that if we reside in the land of disbelief, or the land like in America or some other place other than what the Islamic Sharia is upholding, then we also have to obey them laws if we was to reside there. And we know that from the understanding when the Sahaba was going from Mecca, and the first place they went was Ethiopia, now through the Ethiopian king. So in the understanding of this, that, you know, although they was there and after they went through the judgment with this so-called king, then what happened is that the king said that they can reside there, you know, as long as they obey basically the laws in that area. So it's not permissible for the Muslim, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, to be a transgressor or to be a criminal, you know, because he's not in the Islamic country or Islamic state, that they come to wherever they reside at, that they feel we can do what we want to do. So we know that this is not correct. Now, this is not correct character, conduct, or this is not correct knowledge. Barakallahu feekum. So we want to make sure that the understanding is that we try not to become criminals, and if we have been in these type of situations, that we want to be able to address it now, because we know that once you have knowledge of a thing, that you are held responsible. So it's upon us, the people who know the truth, to deliver the truth. Now, so it's real important, inshallah ta'ala, that we be able to live upon this truth with the proper actions. Barakallahu feekum. So they say that in Surah Al-Baqarah pertaining to the permissibility of use of force against your attacker without transgression. Now, to question the bounds of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 190, which is a ayah, now a Surah Al-Baqarah, and the ayah 190, it is an information that is given to us, that is legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have the permission to defend ourselves, to protect ourselves. We have the right to protect ourselves against those who fight against us. Now, so Allah says, fight in the way of Allah. Fight in the way of Allah, those who fight you. So that means that, you know, that we're not fighting out of desire. We're not defending ourselves out of desire. That we're defending ourselves in the guidelines of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the guidelines of the Kitab and the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we just want to make sure that we have that correct. So, and anything that is not for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we do something that is not from the Kitab and the Sunnah, then it will be rejected. So so fight in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who fight you, but do not transgress, for verily Allah does not like transgressors. So I use this ayah because it's very important that we understand that Allah does not support transgressors. So this is why I'm coming in of a more of a self-defense understanding with this, because it's very important that, you know, that us living in the land that we live in, sometimes we was raised differently, or we follow certain street codes and so forth like this, and we have to be able to acknowledge to the fact that you know, street laws does not apply with Allah's law, meaning that we, no matter what the situation is, we got to make sure that we are in the guidelines of Kitab and the Sunnah. So anything from Jahiliyyah, you know, a person disrespecting you, you feel as you have the right, a person may attack you, and then you attack them back, and it may danger and so forth like this here, and you go too far, you know, you ward off the attack, and then you just keep attacking because of the anger that you have, or the people that surround, so you get prideful and things like this here, and you begin to become the transgressor, you become the oppressor. So we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always reminds us that he has forbid oppression from himself. So basically, that this is not from our way. So Allah says in this ayah, fight in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who fight you, but do not transgress. Really, Allah does not like transgressors. So we know from this ayah now, Allah will not aid or help the transgressors. Now Allah Ta'ala will not aid us or anyone. In that fact, if they have transgressed the bounds, meaning that people have rights to live by. People, your neighbors, your friends, your business partners have rights, and we have to obey them rights. So therefore, put your pride to the side, and you give the people their rights, and you make sure that we don't oppress the people. Barakallahu feekum. So we know from this that the ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to aid or help Allah, it says, so we know from this ayah, Allah will not aid or help the transgressors, no matter how much you truly believe that you are in the right. But if it is not according to the law, now the international law as well as the Sharia, that you will not be aided, you will not be helped by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we must understand the permissibility. Now, so it's upon us that we must understand the permissibility of the use of force. That we must understand the permissibility of the use of force. Now, so we're going to get into this about what is the permissibility of the use of force by doing some activity, some physical activity, based upon scenario training, so that you can get a pretty good understanding, a good picture, a good photo shot, basically, of how this thing is, so that we can understand the basic understanding of the permissibility of the use of force. So when defending oneself from harm or attack, so you have to make sure that you understand. We have to make sure that we understand first, that we understand the fiqh of what we're doing. We understand why and when and how I must defend myself according to the Kitab and the Sunnah, and also the law of the land that we live in. So it's really important, because what happens when we don't understand this, we fall into error. And when we fall into error, that means that we are not upon the Kitab and the Sunnah, and we're not in the guidelines of the law of the land that we live in, that we reside in. So it's very important. And this is how majority of the people, unfortunately, they become criminals, because a lot of times they don't study the law. They don't understand basically what it takes to be able to defend yourself correctly. Okay? So you got to understand there are laws that we have to live by. So we must understand the permissibility of the use of force when defending oneself from harm or attacks. Amen. So the rulings of self-defense using the same or necessary force of action. So basically, you have to be able to use the same amount of force that your attacker used, to restrain this individual, or to contain this individual, right? To prevent this individual from hurting you, something like this. So you have to make sure that you don't go overboard. Now, so we know that anything that is not in accordance, that is not balanced, right? It is something that is unbalanced, meaning either you're over or you're under. So there's no balance there. So we got to understand that if a person was to attack me or attack you or someone, and they may do something that is not of great force, now, and you reacted in a way where is that because you may be angry at this particular time or something like this here, and you hurt this person, using a much greater force that was needed, then you will be held responsible in front of the judge. You will be held responsible in regards of oppressing someone because you use too much force, basically, okay? So it's real important that we understand that the use of force, okay? And this is what it basically all boils down to when you're dealing with self-defense, okay? This is why my background is ninjutsu. I have some karate background and so forth like this here, but my main background is to teach self-defense. Why? Because I come to find out in the majority of the schools that majority of the instructors teaching, they does not teach this format. They teach the fancy moves. They teach how to take knives and how to shoot this person and how to shoot that person and how to disarm and so forth like this here. But if you really look in detail, right, you will never see these people, and unfortunately you never see these people, may Allah aid us all, actually teaching what is the permissibility of this technique and what is the non-permissibility of this technique. They just teach you the technique, but they never give you the guidelines, the law, what you can do, what you can't do. And then we come to find out is that now the person may be in prison, and now he say, what happened? He said, well, you know, what you taught me, I used. He said, okay, but what happened? And so the person began to explain what happened. Then what happens? When the person explains it, you come to find out that this individual went too far. And it was your teachings. It was your teachings that got that person there. Okay? So as an instructor, we are responsible for those who are under our care, those who are instructing. So if my student or a student of yours or someone else's find themselves in prison because they used it too much force, because you taught them just how to take a knife, how to use a gun, how to disarm a person, how to break a leg, how to choke somebody out to feel like they're strangling, and it was just off a push. The person would just push the person for whatever reason, went to go push the person, and the person did a deflected block. They struck the person in the nose. They came behind them. They started choking them out, so forth like this. So that would be excessive force because the person did not appear to be have any type of danger coming after the initial attack. So once the person initially attacked you, an enemy danger, you felt in your mind because you truly believe what? That I have the right. I truly believe that my life was in danger. So I struck him. I hit him with an open palm strike to his nose. He grabbed his head. Then I went behind him. I kicked his leg out. Then I grabbed him around his neck. I started choking him out. Then I threw him on the ground. I started stomping him. So what happens here is that by the time the authorities come, honestly speaking, you're going to jail. You're going to prison. And your instructor, believe it or not, he's never going to come pay your bail. Okay? He's not even going to give you a lawyer because why? Because it's not his fault, he's going to claim. But the reality is, it is his fault. So it is upon you to make sure that once you are indulging or you are inclined to be taught by someone, you got to make sure that they teaching you correctly. This is from our religion. This is from the ways that we want to make sure that when we learn that we have the correct understanding. Amen. So it's real important. So you understand that. So these are the rulings of self-defense, using the same or necessary force of action to render oneself from harm. Now, so you can use, you are permissible. It's permissible to defend yourself if someone attack you, okay? Or in some cases, if you feel as though someone's going to attack you and you acted first, okay? This is another situation we call preemptive. So it's real important that you understand that. Now, barakallahu fikum. So basically, what I'm going to do in Short Ada, Maghrib is coming in shortly. We're going to give a couple of examples now of someone who does not have the right to self-defense. And what we're going to do is that I'm going to describe it, and basically I'm going to go through it and see that you can see, can you understand exactly what's going on here? So here it is. I'm going to give you a scenario. One of the scenarios is that a person may be, say for instance, you're going to the store, okay? You're going to the store, a person come up on you, which, you know, it can happen to any one of us. A person come up to you and they may ask you for, excuse me, brother, or excuse me, do you have $1? That, you know, you have $1. And I say, no, I do not have $1. And at the same time, the person get upset with me and they could become a more aggressive, demanding that I give them my belongings or whatever I have. So I refuse to give it to the individual, and the individual pushed me. They don't actually snatch my product or pull a weapon out or demand me to give me whatever, but they push me, okay? This is real important that we understand that, of course, the person may push you, right? You do not have the right to pull out a weapon, and start shooting a person. You do not have a right to pull out a knife and start stabbing a person. You do not have the right to pull out a stick and start hitting a person, because a push is not something that is deadly. That is not a deadly assault. You cannot possibly tell anyone in the law, in the court, that I felt that my life was in danger because this person pushed me. So I pulled my weapon, I pulled my tool, and I began firing. Or I pulled my knife and I began stabbing, or I pulled my stick and I began hitting, or you don't even have a weapon, or the person go to push you and, you know, on the intimate push, the person attack you, you strike them one time. And then the person say, okay, grab their face, and they say, oh, I'm sorry, man. They cover up, and you just start beating them down, because now, believe it or not, you're going overboard, because it was just a push. And then the most you probably could have did was struck them one time. Okay, and then your main thing after you struck him one time, and then your main thing, as long as you get out of reach, whenever you be able to get that person away from you, then your job is to de-escalate the situation, and then your job is to evade and escape. Okay, this is your job. This is the job as one of any one of us. Okay, so this is some of the things that is important. Like, I can sit up here and I can teach you so much about combat. I can teach you so much about different levels of so many things. But the main thing is, if you don't know your rights, if you don't know the law, which is a reality, right? Then 9 out of 10, I don't care if you do beat this person up. 9 out of 10, this person can flip the script and say, hey, you know what? He jumped on me. Because when the police get there, when the officials get there, they're going to ask questions. And they see him over there bloody, and you're standing there, and you sitting up there looking angry, then 9 out of 10, they're going to attack you. They're going to tell you to get up against the wall, put your hands behind your back, and this person over here can claim, if there's no cameras or witnesses around, this person can say actually what? That he jumped on me because it's something that he wanted, because they're going to go to the person who need the most care. Okay? So at the end of the day, you're going to wind up being handcuffed anyway, and you're going to wind up in the prison system, right, fighting for your life, basically. Okay, so this is basically how I go. All right, so this is why I teach like this. It's a little different, I know sometimes there's a lot of kalam, a lot of words, a lot of talking, conversation. But for Adam innahu la ilaha illallah, what stuff would be? Wa mu'minin wa mu'minat. We always got to remember this: that knowledge precedes speech and action. So if you don't have knowledge of a thing, you can't act upon a thing. And I always stress this, that self-defense is 90% mental and 10% physical. Ain't it? So the thing is, dealing with that scenario, this is the reality situation. This is what happens. Okay? So you got to make sure that the only amount of force that you're able to really use is to push someone back or to give them one strike. And if the person continue to come after that, then that's a whole different situation, okay? But if the person become non-aggressive, then you have to de-escalate your assault, your attack, your reactionary attack, and give the person a chance, or you try to escape from the harm, so forth like this here. So it's really important that you understand this, barakallahu fikum. So, and the second is a person who does have the right to claim self-defense, and a non-legal defense tactic. So now what happens is, if a person does have the right to a person, okay, the same scenario, but this time a person come up and the same scenario, they ask you for $1, you say you don't have it, they become aggressive, so they push you, so you strike them. Okay, you strike them, bam, you strike them, and upon this, what happens is you hit them one time. Okay, so now the person is knocked out, or they on the curve. Allah forbid that barakallahu fikum, that they don't hit their head on the curve or hit a sharp object and they die. Okay, because that's a whole different situation now. Okay, it's a whole different situation. So what you want to do basically is that you want to be able to, once you feel as though that your life was in danger and you reacted the way you reacted, and you did not go overboard, then it is upon you, right, according to the law, this is your choice, but it's according to the law of being righteous and not being a criminal, barakallahu fikum, is that you got to call 911. Or you got to make some type of understanding for the people around to know that this person attacking you. So you may use some type of stop, what are you doing, no, help, fire, these type of tactics. It's real important that you understand this, because when the police get there, when the authorities get there, and you stay there, because once you leave, now you have negated your responsibility of being righteous, and now you left. You left from the scene of a crime. In some cases, some people will tell you to leave and then go home and call because you fear that somebody might come. But away from all of that, if it's just that situation, okay, you have to remain there. You have to call the police. You have to call 911, and then you got to claim self-defense. And hopefully that is witness around to be able to bear witness to this fact as well, okay? And this is how we understand the self-defense. law? What is the correct way? What is dealing with righteousness, dealing with the Sharia, dealing with the international law. This is important because this is how a majority of us in prison system, because we find ourselves in there because we feel as we had the right, and really we didn't have the right. We have to abandon these ways of jahiliyyah. We have to abandon these ways of ignorance that we came before Islam. And Islam come to correct things. So we're going to make sure that we're not acting like the people, the Kharij. That we just kill people, make people blood lawful and so forth like this here. It's okay to be a criminal. No, it's not okay for us to be a criminal. So unfortunately, a lot of us fall in some of these categories. But inshallah, we make tawbah, barakallahu fikum. Now, so the thing is that we just want to make sure that if you are a gun owner, that you take some classes with it, that you know the rules and regulations with it, that if you own a property and if a person try to enter your property, that you know the conditions on protecting your property, so that you will not go to prison for oppressing someone or not knowing the law. And not knowing the law itself, you're oppressing yourself, okay? Because knowledge is everything. So you have to seek knowledge of what is the permissibility of this, what is the non-permissibility of that. So it's really important that as civilians and homeowners or properties or whatever the case may be, that you understand the law of self-defense, not just buying weapons or, you got one, you got a license to carry, you got your 235, because once that bullet come out of that firearm, I guarantee you it's going to be a whole different situation. So you want to make sure that you understand your rules, your rights, a part of carrying that firearm. You want to understand that you understand the rights of what you can do and what you cannot do to protect your property. Barakallahu fikum. Okay, so what we're going to do, barakallahu fikum, I'm going to come over here, inshallah ta'ala, and I'm going to show you a scenario, something that is nothing too out of the norm. Okay, because the main thing is that, you want you to benefit. So I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about, okay? All right, so, we out here. We know we got this coronavirus thing jumping off, so I don't want to be out here too long. But I'm going to tie my camel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my wife out here, okay? And I'm just going to give you a demonstration what goes on. Okay, say for instance, okay, we're going to play this out. She's the person, or not her, but a person. I'm using my wife because I don't have no one at this particular time. But or the person come up and they ask me for $1. Okay, they ask me for $1. Okay, and basically I don't have. I tell her I don't have the dollar. Okay, I don't have it, and the person get upset with me and they push me. Okay, push me. This is the reality. Okay, at this particular time, okay, if I step back like this, push me again, please. And I step back like this here, this is space between us. Me necessarily, it's not permissible at this particular time for me to come back and attack her or to attack him. Why? Because that push helped me basically. It didn't hurt me. It pushed me away. So now my job is to tell the person to back off. Okay, back off, right? Making a scene, basically, with authority, back off, setting my boundaries. My escape is this way. If I got room to leave, then this is what the law is going to say. Did you have an escape? Okay, was it imminent? Did you react imminent? No, I didn't. Because when he pushed me, I backed up, I got space, I could walk away. Okay, I can avoid that conversation, okay, or that situation. So it's really important that you understand this. So now, here it is when a person may, where I feel that I have the right, okay? The right is now that the person, now we're talking about imminent danger. Now, because you have to really believe, that's what the judge is going to ask you, or the defense attorney, or the prosecutor, they're going to ask you, did you truly believe that you was in imminent danger, this person was going to hurt you, okay? Now, again, you got to understand, you got to deal with the size, who it was, what is your capabilities, what is this person's capability, was this person drunk when they did it, was this person 10 times smaller than you, all of these things will work against you, okay? So you got to consider all of that, okay? So you got to be able to to detect. You got to be able to detect and understand the situation for what it is. and whether it's worth it or not, honestly. Okay. So now it happens now. So this is where you are in the right to self-defense, okay? Okay. Person push you, right? Boom. Now you react back, okay? Because it touched you, you just reacted, right? Reactionary response, right? Just reacted, and you may punch, boom, one shot. That right there should stop a person, okay? That's that one hit, boom, right? The person's hand's gonna come off you automatically because I acted inanimate. I didn't have time to think. So as soon as she did it or he did it, right? I reacted, boom, okay? And now that person back there, and it's not for me to continue, okay? But I know that blow was enough to be able to get away. That's the main purpose that I'm trying to understand. We're not here to be killers or anything like that. We're just trying to make sure that the people are safe physically, economically, and spiritually, all right? So, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Inshallah ta'ala, barakallahu feekum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward y'all, and I hope you enjoy the lessons and benefit, barakallahu feekum. And inshallah ta'ala, you know, I know it's not from the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallam to beg people for anything. But me and my family at this particular time, barakallahu feekum, we are, you know, trying to prevent ourselves from asking people for anything. So if you can donate $1, barakallahu feekum, to the cause of these videos that we're making, you know, 'cause I don't want to make it seem like I'm doing it for loose, anything like this here. But the reality is the reality, barakallahu feekum, that, you know, I still have to take care of my family. So inshallah ta'ala, if you can donate $1, barakallahu feekum, my cash app is Ford Mujahid, barakallahu feekum. Inshallah ta'ala, if you can donate $1, may Allah ta'ala put it on your scale as a righteous good deed. And if you do not have the dollar, barakallahu feekum, may you offer dua for me and my family. Jazakallahu khairun. May Allah ta'ala reward y'all, and may you enjoy the lessons, barakallahu feekum. And we will see y'all tomorrow. Inshallah ta'ala, nothing go wrong, or you know, put us to test, barakallahu feekum, and we'll be able to come and do some more lessons. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.